Hi, everybody. So, I'm Ryan Trelease. I'm the newest member of this group. Good to see you. I bring the inspiration piece to this wonderful, wonderful group that we're with. I mean, with the emotional side that we have with Kimberly, our doctor, our chef, Monica, who always is just, again, is like the heartbeat of us.
Yeah.
She's good that she's not in here to say that. So my piece is the inspiration piece. I'm a 40-year-old gentleman. I was diagnosed with MS 8 years ago. And I somehow defy what they tell me I shouldn't be able to do. I surf all the, well, I don't surf for something machine marks over in Arizona now. I just recently moved here from California, but I was diagnosed with MS out there, and I made a choice when I was diagnosed to paddle for everything. Hashtag paddle for everything. This group has allowed me to spin off for what this movement has become of this paddle for everything, that Oscar and I do these podcasts on a daily basis now, and we tackle topics like fear and courage and new beginnings, and he asked me a lot of personal questions about how I come up with the mindset to do a lot of these things and how I somehow defy what they tell me I should be able to do. So, like, I'm not going to go into my whole story of how I got to this point, because I wanted to touch on the topic that Oscar and I talked about just today. And that was the topic of how when somebody breaks you down, how you can actually take that breakdown. And what I learned to do, and I don't know when I learned it, but at a very young age, this happened to me when I was in my early 20s. It broke me down really bad, but it also lit a fire under me to, like, prove that person wrong. Which is, again, my paddle for everything mentality that I didn't know I even had back then. That just has come to me in this, like, aha moment that even back then I had the drive to paddle for everything. So I'm going to tell the quick story, a brief. I'm going to tell it in more detail in the podcast because it might be a little raw. You know, when I come here, I'm tame. I bring a balance to the group. Everybody's very good. I bring just a little bit of, like, I'm not bad, but I'm not as good. Let's just say that. So it might be a little more raw on the podcast, but the story was I was a young man running a skateboard company. I was the VP of a pretty large skateboard company, and I was sent out to bid on a job for one of my biggest customers' fathers. Now I'm 21 years old, or however old, 20. And again, I'm a VP of a skateboard company. I'm calling the shots, I'm making the rules, I get sent up to bid a job. And I thought I had it in the bag because this was my biggest customer's father. Should be easy. And again, I was just kind of still learning the ropes as a salesman. And I walked in and I presented all the stuff that I'd gone over with the owner of the company. I'm the VP, so I'm not, he does call the shots, but I can do whatever I want. He tells me what he wants specifically done, but he gives me the idea and I run with it. So I sat down and I presented all my pricing to this guy. He just laid into me. And it'll be much more colorful on the podcast. And I'm young, and this guy was, my biggest customer's father. So at the time, he was probably 55 or 60, and I'm 20-something years old. So I'm looking at him already kind of intimidated because he's an adult, and I'm a kid. But he did just tear me down. And I left. That was the one moment I left in my life where I was so mad. I really wanted to punch the guy, and I'm not like that. But I left, and I really felt defeated. Like, I thought, wow, man, how could this guy not buy this? This is perfect. And then to break me down the way you did. So, it told me how awful I was, and God, how could I be doing this job? How could this guy trust me with this company? Just totally tore me apart. So again, I took that and I drove away, super mad. I decided that I would figure out a way to get even. Rather than get mad, because I saw an ace in the hole. And somehow, some way in my life, I always find an angle. And again, paddle for everything. You always search out that. I guess I just had to drive to shove it in his face. But I was searching for my angle. My angle was I knew his son. His son was my biggest customer. I made a product for his son. Now his son bought so much from me, and his company grew so big that his company ended up buying my company. And I ended up going to work for his son and ran a humongous portion of his son's business and blew it out of the water for his son. Dad telling me I couldn't do it. Again, a lot of colorful things happened in between that journey, but I worked up to the point where I was working for his son and one of his #1 people at a $25 million company. So if you paddle for everything, go to the podcast, listen to it, go to the website, Balance My Life, and you'll be entertained and you will hopefully walk away inspired, because life is short and you have the opportunity, everybody does, to do anything they want. Thank you guys for listening. Have a great night.